While the transfer window is currently shut in England, deals are still going through regarding Championship clubs, whether that's players leaving the Championship or free agents coming into the league. Since we last did one of these videos, we have a fair few talking points to go over, as well as plenty of transfer rumours as well. As we get into this tail end part of the season now, clubs will be starting to scout out a few of their summer targets already, but we've got plenty to dive into today. Obviously, we had plenty of Championship action going on last night as well. If you went to any of those games, do leave your thoughts on them down below. Got a bunch more games in the Championship coming up tonight as well. But before we jump into anything, let's first of all go over some done deals that have gone through in the last week or so. So we've seen Costa Rican youngster Jewison Bennett leaving Sunderland on a permanent basis. He's joined Ukrainian side Chakaze for an undisclosed fee. For context, the Ukrainian transfer window didn't actually shut until yesterday. Bit of a funny one really, because when Sunderland initially picked him up, he was someone who a lot of that fan base was quite excited about. Sunderland fans would have seen a few flashes of quality from him here and there, but he barely featured for them this season, didn't play for them in the Championship whatsoever, only had one cameo appearance in the EFL Cup earlier in the season against my team Preston North End. He's at a point of his career now where he probably will want a bit more regular game time, so you can see why that move has gone through. In a bid to boost their defensive options between now and the end of the season, we've seen Portsmouth signing Swedish defender Alexander Milivojevic, who was available as a free agent. He was most recently playing in Sweden, but his contract there had expired at the end of the last calendar year. Now, those who have been watching the Championship for a while, Miljosevic's name may ring a little bit of a bell. He did play for Nottingham Forest back. Now, for those who have watched the Championship for a few years, Miljosevic may be someone who rings a bell in your mind. He did play for Nottingham Forest back in 2018/19. He's now signed on a deal with Portsmouth until the end of this season. Once again, we've seen Derby County dipping into the free agents market. They've signed Jeff Hendrick on a deal until the end of this season, with him returning to Pride Park. He had been a free agent since being let go by Newcastle at the end of last season. Obviously, the free agents market is somewhere that Eustace has been looking into recently. Obviously, they signed Kamal Roof a couple of weeks ago as well. Hendrick has spent the last few years playing in the Championship. Now, recently, he's had loan spells with the likes of QPR, Reading and Sheffield Wednesday. Definitely not someone who is at the very peak of their powers anymore. You know, he's been months without a club, but he'd been training with Derby recently, and clearly Eustace thought that he'd bring a positive impact to that group between now and the end of the season. And we've also seen Preston midfielder Dwayne Holmes leaving the Championship. He's joined MLS side Houston Dynamo on a 2-year contract. Now, his deal with Preston was set to expire at the end of this season. While he was still technically under contract with North End for a few more months, the club have allowed him to leave on a free transfer. He was set to miss the remainder of this season anyway, because of a broken leg he sustained against Norwich earlier in the campaign. You can see why this move would definitely suit Holmes. He signed a 2-year contract with the MLS outfit. I don't think that would have been something that was probably on the table from Preston North End, but I think Holmes definitely leaves Deepdale with the best wishes of everyone at Preston. Certainly gave us a bit of a different dynamic in midfield whenever he did play. Obviously a very diminutive player with a low centre of gravity, good at driving with the ball going forwards, and definitely someone who we're going to need to replace going into the summer. But from a personal standpoint, you can see why that move would be attractive for someone like Holmes. But those are some of the done deals which have gone through in the Championship over these past few days. Now, without any further ado, let's jump into the rumours. So over the past few days, we have seen a few links re-emerging linking Kalvin Phillips with a return to Ellen Road, obviously, with this one being on the condition that Leeds are promoted from the Championship and they're playing in the Premier League next season. I think links like this were always likely going to come up with Phillips and Leeds, with the midfielder looking for a long-term solution for where his career goes next in the summer. He's still under contract with Manchester City until 2028 and is reportedly earning around about 150 grand with City as well, but understandably it's looking more than likely that City are looking to get him off the books on a permanent basis, and Leeds have been tipped as one of the clubs who could be interested. Now, what's interesting about this story is over the past few days, looking at different media outlets, there have been different spins on this one, with some outlets claiming that Leeds are interested, others saying that that's not the case. But from a Leeds United fan's perspective, I'd like to get some of your guys' thoughts on this one in the comments down below. Certainly from a sentimental point of view, I'd get it. He was a fan favourite while he was at Leeds. I just can't help but think that maybe the club will be looking at different options going into next season. He's going to turn 30 next year. He's not the same player that Leeds had physically. You know, since leaving Leeds in 2022, he's not had a great deal of football, even this season at Ipswich while he's been out on loan. He's only started in 13 Premier League matches. He would bring that bit of know-how into that Leeds United midfield for the Premier League, I suppose, but right now if you're Leeds, are you taking someone like Phillips and, you know, putting him into that side over someone like an Ampadu or a Tanaka? I'm not totally sure, to be honest with you. Listen, they're going to be looking to strengthen all parts of that squad next season if they are promoted. That goes without saying, but it will be interesting to see what happens with Phillips in the summer, because I'm sure there's about to be an abundance of transfer rumours revolving around him. It's also looking more than likely that Leeds will be looking to strengthen their options at left back going into next season. There's still quite a bit of uncertainty that revolves around the long-term future of Junior Firpo, who's obviously been a crucial player for Leeds up until this point, but his contract with Leeds is set to expire at the end of the season, and it's been reported that Wolves fullback Hugo Bueno is a target for Leeds going into the summer. 22-year-old is currently out on loan with Feyenoord, although there are quite a few clubs who are supposedly interested. Reports have come out recently claiming that Tottenham are interested in re-signing Dennis Serkin, who left the club in 2021 to join Sunderland. Since that point, he's obviously gone on to do fantastic. He's been one of the best fullbacks in the Championship this season. And let's face it, with how many brilliant, young and talented players Sunderland currently have at their disposal, there's bound to be plenty of interest in the majority of them come the summer window. However, it's not just Tottenham who are supposedly interested in Serkin. Recent reports have claimed you've also got the likes of Chelsea, West Ham, Crystal Palace and Everton who are also keeping an eye on him right now. And the good news for Sunderland is that they won't be under any pressure to sell him anytime soon or anything like that. He is still under contract at the Stadium of Light until 2026, which should give them a decent amount of bargaining power when dictating his price tag in the summer. But there definitely seems to be a few big Premier League sides who are weighing up a move for him right now, which is quite interesting. Hearts defender James Penrice is attracting plenty of interest from the Championship right now. You've got the likes of Preston North End, Watford and Southampton, who, let's face it, will be playing in the Championship next season, all interested in the defender at the moment. And the good news for Hearts is that he is under contract until 2027, and so you'd imagine the Scottish club would be able to command a decent fee for him. He's been going well in Scotland this season. Certainly speaking as a Preston North End fan, that left-back department, it's definitely going to be a position we're going to look to be strengthening in the summer. We'll have Jayden Magoma obviously returning to Brentford from his loan spell. Robbie Brady could still be offered a new deal, but I'd expect him to probably leave at the end of the season as well, so it will leave us with quite a big gap to fill on that left-hand side. And the 26-year-old is one of the first proper fullback targets that we've been linked to since the January window closed. Middlesbrough midfielder Hayden Hackney is reportedly on the watch list of Manchester United going into the summer. Obviously, at his best, Hackney, very tidy midfielder. Whether or not he's ready for that step up to the Premier League right now, it remains to be seen, but there's definitely a lot of potential there. Now, it has been stated that he's not one of Man United's primary targets coming into the summer transfer window, but should they fail to land any of their number one targets, someone like Hackney could be looked at. I'm certainly not expecting it just to be Manchester United who are going to be interested in the 22-year-old either. I've also seen Crystal Palace linked recently. The good news for Middlesbrough is that he is under contract with the club until 2027, and so Borough fans, if a club like Manchester United did come calling, definitely worth thinking about their history of overspending for players as well. How much would you personally be holding out for before you consider selling a player like Hackney? Obviously not just taking into account his current ability, but his potential and things like that as well. It also seems like another goalkeeper will be on the agenda for Manchester United in the summer, and it seems more than likely that they could be looking towards the EFL for one or two of their targets as well. Burnley's James Trafford is someone who has popped up on that Manchester United radar. Obviously, Trafford's someone who has had very strong links to Newcastle in recent months, even dating back to the summer. Obviously, Trafford has had a fantastic season for Burnley this far into the campaign. Whether or not he stays with Burnley next season will probably depend on whether or not they're playing in the Premier League next season. Wigan goalkeeper Sam Tickle is another one that is on the Manchester United radar. I know that he's currently playing in League One, but he is a goalkeeper who's been eyed up by quite a few Championship clubs in recent seasons as well. My club, Preston North End, for example, were supposedly interested in Tickle in January. And you've also got Blackburn Rovers shot-stopper Ainsley Pears, who's been looked at by Man United at this point in time as well. So a lot of EFL talents currently being looked at by the Red Devils. Whether or not they'll move move in for any of these players in the summer. We'll have to wait and see. It feels as if every time a transfer window rolls around in the Championship, Lawrence Shankland is always linked with a move to the EFL. Well, these rumours are emerging once again, but it could very much be on the cards this summer, especially as his contract with Hearts is set to expire at the end of the season. Now, going back to last summer, the Scottish club was looking for at least £5 million if they were going to let him go. Obviously, they didn't get a bid of that in the end. Last season, he was massively prolific. He scored 31 goals across all competitions. This season, he's not been at those same standards. He's only scored 4, but he has got a fair few assists this season, to be fair to him. 29 years old now, but potentially available on a free transfer. In England, you've got the likes of Ipswich and Sunderland, who are both supposedly interested, although there is a bit of interest from abroad as well. But there you guys have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like, and if you've seen any other transfer rumours going on around the EFL, make sure to let me know about them in the comments down below. Other than that though guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.